Brad Garlinghouse just called the most powerful banker in America either a liar or a fool. He did this live on national television in front of millions of viewers. Most news outlets are framing this as a corporate spat. Two executives disagreeing on a piece of legislation, nothing more. Just another headline in a crowded news cycle, gone by tomorrow. That framing misses the entire point completely. This is not a disagreement about wording or technical details. This is a direct confrontation between the old financial system and the system trying to replace it. Let us break down what actually happened, step by step, and why it matters far more than the headlines suggest. Point 1. The accusation itself. Ripple chief executive Brad Garlinghouse went on Fox Business. He accused JPMorgan chief executive Jamie Dimon of intentional misrepresentation. The topic was the Clarity Act. The Clarity Act is the proposed regulatory framework currently moving through the United States Senate. It is designed to define how digital assets are supervised. It also clarifies which agency oversees which type of asset. For years, the crypto industry has dealt with overlapping jurisdiction between two major regulators. Nobody could say with certainty whether a given digital asset fell under one agency or the other. That uncertainty alone has slowed institutional adoption for years. Companies spent enormous amounts of money on legal opinions just trying to determine basic classification. The Clarity Act was designed to fix exactly that problem. It draws clear jurisdictional lines so companies finally know which rules apply to them. Dimon had publicly claimed the bill weakens anti-money laundering protections. Garlinghouse rejected that claim entirely. He said Dimon's characterization was either a mistake or a deliberate attempt to mislead the public. Those are not soft words. Think about the weight of that statement for a moment. When the head of one of the largest crypto companies in the world accuses the head of the largest bank in America of lying about pending legislation on live television, that is not noise. That is a signal. It signals that the gloves are officially off between these two industries. And it signals that Ripple, as a company, is no longer playing defense in this regulatory conversation. Point 2. The motive behind the accusation. Garlinghouse did not stop at calling the claim false. He went further and questioned why Dimon would make that claim in the first place. His argument was direct. JPMorgan generates roughly $20 billion in annual revenue from its payments business. That business produces over $5 billion in profit every year. This is not a small side division for JPMorgan. This is one of the most profitable parts of the entire bank. Garlinghouse suggested Dimon is protecting that business, not protecting consumers. Think about what that means for a moment. If digital asset companies like Ripple can offer similar cross-border payment services at a fraction of the cost, that directly threatens JPMorgan. Their infrastructure settles transactions in seconds rather than days. Traditional cross-border payments often take several business days to clear. They involve multiple intermediary banks, each one taking a fee along the way, each one adding delay, cost, and friction to a process that, in theory, should be instant in a digital world. Digital asset rails remove almost all of that friction in one step. This threatens the most profitable division of the largest bank in the country. Garlinghouse is not just disputing facts here. He is exposing what he believes is the real reason behind the opposition, a multi-billion-dollar incentive to keep the current system exactly as it is. When you frame it that way, Dimon's objections start to look less like concern over compliance, and more like a defense of market share, dressed up in regulatory language. Point 3. This is no longer a fringe argument confined to crypto forums. Senator Cynthia Lummis is one of the most prominent crypto advocates in Congress. She publicly suggested that Dimon either misread the bill or intended to mislead the public. When a sitting United States senator backs the accusation made by a crypto chief executive against a major bank chief executive, the dynamic shifts completely. This is no longer just Ripple versus JPMorgan. This is now part of a broader political fight. The fight is over how the United States regulates digital assets going forward. And the timing could not be more critical. The Clarity Act already passed the House. It cleared the Senate Banking Committee in May. It now sits one step away from a full Senate vote. According to prediction markets, the odds of this bill passing in 2026 currently sit at roughly 47%. That is essentially a coin flip. Months of work, years of industry lobbying, and the future regulatory landscape for an entire asset class currently rests on something close to even odds. And the single biggest sticking point remains stablecoin yield provisions. This is the exact area where traditional banks stand to lose the most ground to crypto exchanges. If crypto platforms can legally offer yield on stablecoins, while banks cannot match those returns on traditional deposits, depositors have a clear incentive to move their money. That is, the deposit flight risk banks are quietly terrified of. It is the reason this fight is happening at all. Now let us talk about what this actually means going forward. If this confrontation continues to escalate publicly, expect more banking executives to speak out against the Clarity Act in the coming weeks. Not because the bill itself is flawed, but because every major bank with a profitable payments division has the same incentive JPMorgan does. This is not unique to one bank or one executive. It is structural. The entire traditional banking sector has the same financial reason to oppose this legislation. At the same time, expect crypto industry leaders to become more aggressive in calling out that incentive publicly, the same way Garlinghouse just did. This is a fight over public perception as much as it is a fight over legislation. Whoever controls the narrative around the Clarity Act in the coming weeks may significantly influence whether it passes at all. Public opinion shapes political will, and political will shapes Senate votes. And if it does not pass, the regulatory uncertainty that has hung over XRP continues indefinitely. That uncertainty has a direct cost. It is one of the primary reasons institutional capital has moved cautiously into this space. This is despite clear technological advantages that digital asset rails offer over legacy systems. Large pension funds, asset managers, and corporate treasuries generally avoid unclear regulatory environments. They simply cannot justify the compliance risk to their boards and regulators. Clarity, in this case, is not just the name of a bill. It is the precondition for the next wave of institutional capital entering this market. Here are two predictions based on everything we just covered. First prediction. If Garlinghouse continues making these accusations publicly, and other crypto executives join him, expect at least one additional major bank executive to respond directly within the next 2 weeks. That response will either defend Dimon's position or distance from it entirely. Whichever direction it goes, it will tell us a great deal about how unified or divided traditional finance actually is on this issue. A unified defense suggests the banking industry sees this as an existential threat worth fighting together. A divided response suggests cracks are already forming within traditional finance itself. Second prediction. If the Senate floor vote on the Clarity Act is scheduled within the next month, expect XRP price volatility to increase significantly in the days surrounding that vote. This applies regardless of which direction the vote ultimately goes. Markets hate uncertainty. A scheduled vote removes one layer of uncertainty even before the outcome is known. Traders often price in expected outcomes ahead of time, then react sharply to the actual result. Sometimes the reaction to the actual vote is larger than anyone expected, simply because positioning ahead of it was so one-sided. Both of these outcomes are trackable. Both will likely happen faster than most people expect. This dispute escalated from a single interview to a Senate-level political issue within days. That speed alone tells you how significant this moment actually is. What matters here is understanding the deeper pattern. This is not just two executives disagreeing on television. This is the financial establishment and the digital asset industry openly fighting over who gets to define the rules of the next financial system. And for the first time, the crypto side is fighting back publicly, by name on national television with specific dollar figures attached to the accusation. That level of specificity is new, and it changes the tone of this entire debate. So here's the question for you. Do you think Jamie Dimon is genuinely concerned about compliance standards? Or do you think Garlinghouse is right that this is about protecting JPMorgan's payments business? Drop your answer in the comments. This debate is about to get a lot louder before it gets resolved. If this breakdown helped you understand what is really happening behind the headlines, hit subscribe so you do not miss the next one. I will see you in the next one.